It was a morning like any other. It's a kind of morning we take for granted. The sun rose gently through the window. The birds were chirping in the distance. The coffee machine was warming up in the kitchen, ready to brew the same cup it had for years. And Richard, a 78-year-old retired engineer, slowly opened his eyes. He stretched his arms, yawned, sat on the edge of the bed, like always. His wife Elaine was already in the kitchen, preparing oatmeal, as she always did. Nothing seemed unusual. But what no one realized in that moment was that Richard's body was already warning him. He felt slightly dizzy, a sensation he had ignored many times before. "It's just the age," he would say. "I'm fine." He stood up, took a step toward the bathroom. He blinked twice, trying to shake off a blur in his vision. Then, it happened. 2 minutes later, he collapsed. Elaine heard the noise, that heavy, unmistakable thud of a body hitting the floor. She ran toward the sound, calling his name. When she entered the bathroom, she froze. There he was. The man she had spent 5 decades loving, lying motionless on the cold tile floor. His chest barely moved, his lips had gone pale, his eyes half open, but blank. The scream that left her mouth was not one of fear. It was grief, desperation, disbelief. She called 911 with trembling hands. She tried CPR. She begged him to wake up. But inside she knew. Something irreversible had already happened. At the hospital, the doctor delivered the news in the quietest voice. It was sudden cardiac arrest, likely caused by a drop in blood pressure. "It's more common than people think," and he added a line that would haunt Elaine for the rest of her life. There were signs, but they're almost always ignored. What signs did Richard ignore? They weren't dramatic. There was no crushing chest pain, no slurred speech, no screaming headaches, just little things. It's the kind we all learn to live with as we age. He had trouble focusing his eyes for a few seconds after waking. His knees sometimes wobbled when he stood too fast. He would feel unusually tired after showering, even though he had barely moved. At dinner, sometimes he would pause mid-sentence, as if the words took a moment longer to find. Each of those moments was a whisper from his body, a quiet signal that his cardiovascular system wasn't recovering as quickly, that blood was taking longer to circulate to his brain, that his balance was no longer just mechanical, it was medical. But no one told him these were warnings. No one explained what could happen if they were ignored, and when the collapse came, it arrived like a thief. Quick, silent, unforgiving. You see, after age 70, something changes. The body doesn't send alarms the way it used to. Instead, it sends subtle reminders: dizziness, blurry vision, fatigue, a missed heartbeat, a moment of breathlessness while tying your shoes. But because they come quietly, we dismiss them just as quietly. That's the danger. Richard's heart didn't fail because it was broken. It failed because he stood up too quickly and his body couldn't adjust. That's what orthostatic hypotension is. When your blood pressure drops suddenly after changing position and your brain doesn't get the oxygen it needs in time. Most people recover. They feel lightheaded for a moment, then go about their day. But in the wrong conditions, with dehydration, fatigue, and age, those moments become fatal. The saddest part, this could have been prevented with simple habits that take less than 3 minutes a day. And yet they're rarely taught, rarely discussed, rarely known. So let's change that. Because knowledge without action changes nothing. Let us talk about the morning protocol. The 7-step ritual every senior should follow before getting out of bed. Hydration comes first. Before you move, drink water. Keep a glass by your bed. It replenishes the fluid your body loses overnight and prepares your circulation for movement. Deep breathing for 60 seconds. Inhale deeply through your nose, hold for 3 seconds, and exhale slowly through your mouth. Do this 5 times. It relaxes your nervous system and reduces the risk of heart spikes. Flex your feet and ankles. Point your toes, roll your ankles, stretch your calves. It starts blood flow back to the brain and legs. Sit up slowly. Don't swing your legs out of bed in one motion. Sit first. Place your hands on your lap. Count to 30. Observe your body. Are you dizzy? Is your heart racing? Are your hands cold? Don't ignore it. Take note. Stand with support. Use a cane, wall, or bedpost if necessary. Take your time. Move slowly to the bathroom. Avoid sudden changes in temperature or bright light. Let your body adjust. These steps can reduce fainting, heart strain, and falls by over 70%. But they only work if you practice them every morning. No exceptions. Richard never knew about them. But now you do. Elaine couldn't sleep that night. She kept replaying the moment, the sound of his fall, the stillness of his body, the silence in the ambulance. But what hurt the most wasn't the shock. It was the regret. Not for anything she did, but for everything she didn't know. She sat by the window at 2 a.m., staring at Richard's favorite chair. The slippers by the fireplace. The crossword puzzle he didn't finish. She whispered to herself, if only I had known. If only I had seen it coming, but how could she? No one ever taught her that dizziness after standing up was serious. No one warned her that lightheadedness after meals could be heart-related. That swelling in the legs at night might mean heart failure. That shortness of breath while bending over to tie shoes might not be about the lungs, but about circulation. It was all brushed off by him, by their doctors, by everyone. And that is why you're here now, to learn what Elaine never got the chance to. Let us talk about the 5 hidden danger signs that appear after 70 and how to respond. 1. Sudden fatigue after meals. If you feel unusually tired after eating, your body might be redirecting blood to the digestive system, starving the brain and heart. It's called postprandial hypotension, and it is one of the leading causes of fainting in seniors. 2. Swelling in the feet or ankles. If your shoes feel tighter at the end of the day, it could mean your heart is struggling to pump blood efficiently. Don't dismiss it as just water retention. 3. Feeling breathless while leaning forward. This is called bendopnea, often linked to heart failure. If tying your shoes makes you breathless, it's time to talk to a doctor. 4. Ringing in the ears or muffled hearing. This could be linked to small vessel damage or inner ear ischemia, both early signs of reduced blood flow that may precede a stroke. 5. Memory lapses that feel disconnected. Forgetfulness happens to everyone.
But if you forget how you got into a room, or forget a familiar name completely, that may point to deeper issues in cerebral circulation. Each of these symptoms may seem small, but they're connected, and together, they paint a picture that can no longer be ignored. Richard had at least 3 of these signs in the month before he collapsed. He laughed them off. Old age, he'd say, just part of the deal. But aging is not a disease. And treating every warning like a joke is how people die quietly, unexpectedly, unnecessarily. Elaine knows that now. And through her story, so do you. You may be 65, 70, 75, or you may be younger and watching this for your parents or grandparents. Either way, what you do with this knowledge matters. Don't wait for a collapse to take action. Let's step away from Richard for a moment. I want to tell you about Darlene, an 82-year-old widow who lives in Arizona. She lives alone, drives herself to church, tends her small backyard garden with roses and tomatoes. To anyone watching, she seems independent and full of life. But what no one sees is what happens at 6:15 a.m. every day. Darlene wakes up and lies in bed for a few minutes, waiting for the dizziness to pass. Some days she feels like her feet are made of stone. Other days her heart races for no reason. Once she blacked out while reaching for the light switch. When she came to, she was on the floor, confused, with blood on her chin. She never told her children. "I don't want to worry them," she said. That kind of silence is dangerous. Seniors are some of the strongest people on this planet, but too often they confuse strength with silence, and that's silence. The decision not to speak up, not to share, not to seek help, becomes the very thing that puts them at risk. So here's what Darlene did that saved her life. She changed her mornings. She placed a bottle of water next to her bed. She drank it before she moved. She began doing ankle rolls, deep breathing, and counting slowly to 30 before sitting up. She started logging her symptoms and brought the journal to her doctor. Within 3 visits, they discovered she had mild heart failure and unstable blood pressure. Today, with medication, therapy, and her routine, she hasn't fallen once in over a year. Darlene's story reminds us, awareness leads to action, and action leads to protection. Now let me give you 3 things to do this week that can dramatically reduce your risk. 1. Journal your symptoms. Each time you feel lightheaded, tired, or weak, write it down. Include the time, what you were doing, what you had eaten, and how long it lasted. Patterns will emerge. 2. Get a fall detection device. It could be a smartwatch, a necklace button, or a sensor pad by your bed. These tools may seem unnecessary until the moment they're not. 3. Share this video. Send it to your family. Watch it with your spouse. Use it as a starting point to discuss fears, routines, and plans. Because aging is not just about extending life. It's about preserving quality of life. About waking up each day with clarity, balance, and confidence. Too many seniors die from things they could have prevented, if only someone had told them the truth. Now you know. And the next step is yours. Elaine never touched Richard's side of the bed again. For weeks, she left his toothbrush in the holder, his jacket on the hook, his slippers by the fireplace. Grief doesn't follow a straight path. It loops, twists, and sits quietly in the rooms we once filled with laughter. But Elaine made a decision. One morning, as she sat watching the light crawl across the floor, she said out loud, "I couldn't save Richard, but maybe I can save someone else." That's how this message began. It started not from science or statistics, but from love. Elaine began attending a local senior group. She spoke about Richard's fall, about the little signs, the ignored symptoms, the 3-minute window that changed everything. At first, only a few listened. Then others began to speak. One woman admitted she fainted in the shower last year. Another said her father died after standing up too fast. The stories poured in, one after another, and slowly, the silence broke. That's what we're doing here. Breaking silence. Because the greatest danger for people after 70 is not just illness. It's isolation. It's thinking you're the only one, that your dizziness is nothing, that your shortness of breath is just age, that you should keep going and not complain. But you are not alone. You are not imagining it. And it's not just aging, it's your body speaking. Here's the truth. After 70, your body becomes more sensitive. Your circulation, your blood pressure, your hydration, all of it matters more. The small things are no longer small. They are signs, signals, opportunities to protect your future, and your future is worth protecting. Richard didn't know. Darlene learned just in time. Elaine made sure you would hear their stories before it was too late for you. Now I ask you, have you taken a moment lately to check in with your body? Do you have a plan for your mornings? Have you prepared your home for safety? And have you told your family what to do if something happens? If not, start today. Don't wait for regret to become your teacher. Let's pause for a moment and ask something no one likes to ask. What would happen if you collapsed tomorrow morning and no one was there to see it? Would anyone notice you were missing? Would someone check in after a few hours? Would you be able to reach your phone? Would you survive the fall, the stroke, the silence? These are not questions to create fear. They are questions to create action. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 Americans over 65 falls every year. Of those who fall, 1 in 5 suffers a serious injury, like a broken hip or a head trauma. And the most dangerous time of day? Between 6 and 9 a.m. Why? Because that's when blood pressure is unstable, dehydration is highest, and movement is most abrupt after long periods of rest. It's not just statistics. It's a pattern. It's a warning, quietly hiding in data. And yet, most seniors don't have a single safety routine for their mornings. No water near the bed. No morning stretch or breath protocol. No fall alert. No one to check in. And even worse, Most don't tell anyone what they're feeling. They think admitting weakness means surrendering independence. But the truth is the opposite. Admitting risk is how you stay independent longer. Strength is not silence. Strength is preparation. Richard was strong, but he wasn't prepared. Darlene was scared, but she changed. Elaine was grieving, but she turned pain into purpose. And you still have time to act, time to protect yourself, time to speak up, time to stand slowly, with awareness, not assumption. This message isn't about fear. It's about freedom. Because when you know what to watch for and you prepare your life for it, you don't live in fear. You live in power. So ask yourself today, do I start my mornings with intention or with rushing? Do I feel safe when I'm alone? Does my family know what to do if I collapse? Have I listened to what my body's been trying to say? If any answer is no, that's where you begin. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you is listening. Not just with your ears, but with your heart. Maybe you've felt some of the things we talked about. Maybe someone you love has. Or maybe, like Elaine, you've already lost someone. And now you're asking, could I have done more? Let me tell you this. You are not too late. Even if you've ignored the signs before. Even if you've fallen once or twice. Even if you've never said it out loud. This moment is your second chance. You can begin tomorrow differently. You can set a glass of water beside your bed. You can pause before standing. You can stretch, breathe, check in with your body. You can prepare your home. You can install a fall detector. You can tell your family what you need. You can say, I want to stay strong and I'm ready to change. Because the truth is, it is not about adding years to your life. It is about adding life to your years. Richard didn't get that second chance, but you do. And maybe, just maybe, by watching this video, you'll share it with someone else. And it will reach another Richard, another Darlene, another Elaine. And they'll listen, and they'll act. And a life will be saved because of a simple decision to stand up slowly. So if this message touched you, don't keep it inside. Leave a comment. Tell us, what's one thing you'll do differently tomorrow morning? Tag someone who needs to hear this. And most of all, watch the next video we've prepared for you. It is called 6 Stroke Signs Seniors Miss Every Day and What to Do in the First 10 Minutes. It's vital. It's urgent. It might just be the next thing that saves a life, because aging isn't about giving up. It's about rising, wisely, slowly, safely, and with purpose. Take your time, breathe deeply, and tomorrow morning, stand up slowly.